So what about food as a resource? We've talked a lot about oil and fossil fuels, but we haven't really mentioned much about food. Now, the population of the world is increasing. We know that, but the amount of space that we have in the world isn't. So how are we feeding everyone? Well, there are some countries, for instance, Abu Dhabi, you can see in the picture here, that has taken a number of steps to feed its people. Abu Dhabi is a desert landscape. It has very little farmland. It has very little space to grow food for its people. So what does it do? Well, it's got a lot of oil. It's got a lot of money. The answer is that it is leasing land in other countries, namely here in the Sudan. So it's leasing land, it's renting land off the Sudanese government to grow food. In return, it's giving oil to Sudan. In return, it's giving farming machinery and expertise to Sudan so that the Sudanese government can feed its own people. We also looked in the lesson as well at other types of technology, ionizing stations which effectively create rain so that certain areas of land in Abu Dhabi can be irrigated so that they can grow crops. There's all sorts of different solutions here. Is it sustainable? This is the question. Is it good for the environment? Is it good for people? Does it bring economic benefits? Does it meet the needs of people now without jeopardizing future needs? These are the sort of questions that you need to be thinking about. So if you need to, read again through this article very carefully. Make sure that you're aware of the key ideas and be prepared to give an opinion on whether you think it's sustainable or not. What this all essentially means is, going back to the start of the unit, that Thomas Malthus up here was wrong. He was saying that the population would reach a point whereby we would outstrip the amount of resources that we have to feed ourselves. That hasn't happened. Okay, Esther Boserup down the bottom here said that technology and human ingenuity would always win out and we would find a way to keep ourselves going, even if resources were running low. And the evidence at the moment suggests that she was correct. Another piece of evidence to suggest that she is correct is GM foods, genetic modification. As you can see in the graph here, the amount of food that people have been eating has steadily been rising for the last 40-50 years. It doesn't matter if you're in a rich country or whether you're in a poor country. The amount that we've been eating per year is increasing. And one of these reasons is because of genetic modification and certain types of technologies like that. There are a whole number of arguments for and against genetic modification, so make sure that you are aware of those key points and be prepared to give an opinion or explain one side or the other of the argument in the exam. It's really important that you know at least 2 or 3 arguments for or against. And a typical exam question might look like this: are GM foods the answer to a sustainable food supply? Remember what sustainable means. Is it good for the environment, good for people, good for the economy? Does it meet the needs of today without jeopardizing future needs? Make sure you are clear and that you have an opinion about genetic modification, just in case it does come up in the exam.